Good evening, Prof. Good evening, everyone. This is the second part of the Group 1 report covering the topics cryptocurrencies and non fungible tokens. I am Glenn Maracas. Now, cryptocurrencies may be centralized or decentralized. With the emergence of cryptocurrencies, traditional practices and operations in finance have been re-evaluated and disrupted with innovative and emerging approaches. Unlike fiat currency, cryptocurrency is typically not created by central governments, and the ongoing operations of cryptocurrency systems are not under government control. So, this is the primary aim of cryptocurrencies, to be independent of government control. There are two prevailing approaches to managing the trading and transactions of cryptocurrencies. These are CeFi or centralized finance and DeFi, decentralized finance. Now, a CeFi is an approach within the cryptocurrency market to handle the purchase, sale, and trading of cryptocurrency tokens through a central exchange. And CeFi is the cryptocurrency market equivalent to how traditional stock brokerages and investment firms handle fiat currency and equity trading in public stock markets. So CeFi is like our traditional stock exchange wherein we trade through the exchange, and it will be the exchange who will undertake the actual exchanges of currencies. On the other hand, DeFi pertains to cryptocurrency transactions which are done through a peer-to-peer approach, meaning it will not go through a central exchange unlike in CeFi. DeFi takes a different approach to cryptocurrency trading, wherein there is no centralized exchange that holds custody over assets. Rather, it will be the individual traders who will hold their own assets. Unlike in CeFi, wherein your cryptocurrencies are turned over to the CeFi for the particular transaction. In DeFi, there is no such thing. It will be the individual traders who will still control custody over their own assets. CeFi and DeFi use cryptocurrencies exchanges to help facilitate cryptocurrency operations. Thus, cryptocurrency exchanges are digital marketplaces that enable users to buy and sell cryptocurrencies. So, users can undertake exchanges in cryptocurrencies whether in DeFi or CeFi. Hence, cryptocurrency exchanges may also be centralized or decentralized. A centralized exchange or CEX involves a centralized entity or organization that acts as an intermediary, providing a virtual marketplace through which transaction participants engage in the buying and selling of cryptocurrencies. So, in a CeFi setup, they make use of a centralized exchange, and decentralized exchange will provide a virtual marketplace, and the users will have to go through the centralized exchange or CEX in order to complete their transactions, whether it would be buying or selling of cryptocurrencies. A CEX is an online platform owned and operated by a private business entity. So the exchange, the centralized exchange, is owned by a private entity. And users of CEX have to sign up to open an account in order to participate buying and selling of cryptocurrencies in that particular centralized exchange or CEX. Through their accounts, users deposit their cash or cryptocurrencies into a wallet controlled by the CEX. So if you can see, in a centralized exchange, the users will have to surrender custody of their assets with their cash or cryptocurrencies into the centralized exchange through a virtual wallet. So during transactions, the CEX collects the user's orders in a digital order book and matches the buyers and sellers to clear the trades. The CEX announces the current market prices of cryptocurrencies. So in a centralized exchange, the user have to make orders through the CEX, whether they want to buy or sell cryptocurrencies, and it will be the CEX who will complete the transaction by matching the buyers and the sellers in order to clear the trades. Meaning, if the trades are cleared, meaning there was a completed exchange. And this will be undertaken by the CEX, who will also determine the market prices of cryptocurrencies. The CEX also acts as the custodian of the cryptocurrencies held in the accounts of the users. So in that digital wallet, the custody lies with the centralized exchange. It is said that CEX are very good because they are very user friendly. Their interfaces are friendly to the users. And since these CEXs are owned by private business entities, they are subject to the laws and regulations of the jurisdiction they operate in. This ensures regulatory assurances for the users. So the users will have a peace of mind that the centralized exchange being regulated by some government somewhere where the centralized exchange is operating. Trading cryptocurrencies through the CEXs is criticized to be costly due to the transaction fees and intermediary costs they impose. And because in a centralized exchange, users have to go through the centralized exchange. So consequently, there would be transaction fees to be imposed by the centralized exchange. And it is said that CEXs are also prone to cyber attacks from hackers who are interested in the pool of users' funds in the custody of the CEX. Since in a centralized exchange, the assets of the users are in the custody of the CEX, meaning the CEX will have custody of several assets from users, and this will be very attractive to hackers who want to steal these assets from the virtual wallets of users. And it is very attractive to them because the assets are in the custody of the CEX, which means it will be in one place, and a cyber attack on this will result to a higher gain for the hackers. The following are examples of centralized exchanges. Binance. Binance is said to be the largest cryptocurrency exchange in terms of daily trading volume. And it was founded in 2017 by a Chinese named Changpeng Xiao. And it was originally based in China, but because of Chinese regulations and cryptocurrency tradings, they moved to Singapore. In 2021, Binance left Singapore, and as of now, they have no official company headquarters. It has global operations except in the United States of America. Maybe because Binance is a Chinese central exchange, and we all know that the USA is very uh, suspicious of Chinese entities. Another example of a centralized exchange is Coinbase. It is an American company, and it was founded in 2012 by Americans Brian Armstrong and Fred Ursam in San Francisco, California. And this is unique because they have no physical office, and all their employees operate via remote work. Kraken is another example of a centralized exchange. It is also an American cryptocurrency exchange, a publicly traded one. This was founded in 2011 by Jesse Powell, Tan Lu, and Michael Gronager. It is based also in San Francisco, California, USA. Another SEX is Gemini. It is also an American cryptocurrency exchange and founded in 2014 by Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss. This one is based in New York City, New York. Now, in contrast to a centralized exchange, a decentralized exchange or DEX operates without the intermediary or governing bodies of a central exchange. A DEX facilitates direct transactions between users, meaning it's peer-to-peer, by using blockchain technology. DEX runs on transparent smart contracts, which are open source protocols responsible for the automated management and secure documentation of trades on a decentralized ledger. And DEXs fulfill one of the cryptocurrency's core possibilities, that is fostering financial transactions that aren't officiated by banks, brokers, or any other intermediary. Since DEX is a decentralized exchange, there is no registration or account required, unlike in centralized exchange. And DEX only requires a cryptocurrency wallet. And if you want to remain anonymous, you have to use DEX, because anonymity can be maintained since no personal information is required to use most popular DEXs, because you do not need to sign up for any account. In DEX, the system allows users to maintain direct control of their funds, keeping them in their own wallets until a trade is executed, making the user solely responsible for the security of their funds. Because of this, it will be less susceptible to hacking, because the funds are in the control of the respective users. It would not be very attractive to hackers, since it would entail only a few cryptocurrencies, unlike in SEX, wherein there is a pool of cryptocurrencies that the hacker can have a higher gain. In DEX, prices are determined through automated market protocols. So automated ang prices in a DEX, unlike in a centralized exchange, wherein it will be the SEX who will determine the price in the exchange of cryptocurrencies, whereas in DEX there will be an automated market protocol that will determine the exchange price. So DEX establishes the prices of various cryptocurrencies against each other algorithmically and use liquidity pools in which investors lock funds in exchange for interest-like rewards to facilitate trades. In essence, there is no need for an order matching since traders trade against liquidity pools instead of counterparties. In a DEX, this liquidity pool is actually funds or cryptocurrencies from users who want to earn more income by contributing to a liquidity pool. So these funds are pulled together, and in a DEX, every time there is an exchange, there is a trade, the trade would be done through the exchange would be done through the pools, the liquidity pools, not necessarily not necessarily an exchange between two parties. A liquidity pool in this context refers to funds deposited by investors, which can be anyone from around the world, into smart contracts for the aim of providing liquidity to traders. With this system, buyers do not have to wait to be matched with sellers, unlike in a centralized exchange, wherein the SEX would have to clear the trades by looking for a match. In a DEX, there will be no matching to wait because the liquidity pool is always there to provide for the liquidity of the current trade. So whenever someone wants to trade one token for another, they simply deposit the token they have into the liquidity pool and withdraw the other token they wish to receive. So in general, a crypto token is another way to say cryptocurrency, a digital asset, or crypto asset. More specifically, a crypto token is an asset that represents ownership or value in a decentralized system. While transactions on a centralized exchange are recorded on that exchange's internal database, DEX transactions are settled directly on the blockchain. DEX may be challenging to navigate for beginners because it is said that their interface are not as user-friendly as the central exchanges. And liquidity issues may also arise for not so known tokens, maybe because people are not interested to put funds into liquidity pools. Liquidity in terms of trading refers to how easily an asset can be bought and sold. High liquidity suggests the market is active and there are lots of traders buying and selling a particular asset. Conversely, low liquidity means there is less activity and it is harder to buy and sell an asset. So when liquidity is low, slippages tend to occur. In other words, the price of an asset at the point of executing a trade shifts considerably before the trade is completed. A slippage means that when you want to trade on a particular price and there is low liquidity, meaning there are not enough traders, at the time the trade is completed, the price for the trade may have gone down already. So there is a slippage. Hence, exchanges must ensure that transactions are executed instantaneously to reduce price slippages. And the following are examples of decentralized exchanges. Uniswap. This is a DEX and also a cryptocurrency at the same time, and its symbol is UNI. It is hosted on the Ethereum platform and governed by the UNI holders. When it was launched in 2018, it was the first DEX platform to successfully utilize an automated market maker. So Uniswap is not a centralized exchange. it is only a group of users wherein they facilitate exchanges among them. What is an AMM? DEXs replace order matching systems and order books with autonomous protocols called AMMs. These protocols use smart contracts, which are self-executing computer programs to define the price of digital assets and provide liquidity. Here, the protocol pulls liquidity into smart contracts. In essence, users are not technically trading against counterparties. Instead, they are trading against the liquidity locked inside smart contracts. These smart contracts are often called liquidity pools. Unlike in centralized exchange, wherein the central exchange or SEX will have to collate all the orders, so want orders for buying a cryptocurrency and match it with orders for selling cryptocurrencies. In a DEX, they use AMMs, the automated market maker, and it will be the AMM who will close the trade and match it with a particular liquidity pool. Another example of a decentralized exchange is Sushi Swap. It is an Ethereum blockchain DEX and launched as a clone of Uniswap. The token of Sushi Swap is Sushi. And users who have Sushi have a voting power to determine the future of the platform, as well as the percentage of trading fees and staking rewards. Another DEX is PancakeSwap. It allows the user not only to trade tokens but also offers the opportunity to profit from liquidity pools and staking. So the users cannot only buy and sell cryptocurrencies, but they are also given the opportunity to contribute to liquidity pools. PancakeSwap runs on Binance Smart Chain instead of Ethereum. And when a user deposits funds to a liquidity pool, they are compensated with the native token called Cake. Another example of DEX is Curve Finance. The main difference between Curve and other AMMs like Uniswap is that Curve focuses on stable assets. Curve offers a large variety of stable coins. So what are these stable coins? Stable coins are also cryptocurrencies, but their value is pegged or tied to an external reference which can be a fiat currency, a commodity, or a financial instrument. The use of stable coins is an alternative to the high volatility of the prices of most of the cryptocurrencies like bitcoins. So that is why they are called stable coins, because their prices are not volatile, and because their value is pegged on or based on another currency like US dollar or a commodity such as gold or maybe silver and some other financial instruments. But there are also stable coins that are not backed by fiat currency or commodity or even cryptocurrencies. They are called non-collateralized stablecoins, or they are also called algorithmic stablecoins. Their value is made stable by an algorithm, which is a computer program running on a preset formula. And this algorithm will control the supply of the stablecoin so that the value so that its value will not be as volatile as most of the cryptocurrencies. Now, both DeFi and CeFi rely on blockchain technologies as the fundamental basis of their operations. With blockchain at the core, the two approaches are both commonly used to deliver a wide range of cryptocurrency-related financial services. So what is a blockchain? A blockchain is a replicated, shared, and synchronized digital data called a distributed ledger with growing lists of records called blocks. And these blocks are securely linked together by an algorithm called a cryptographic hash. Now, each block contains the cryptographic hash of the previous block, a timestamp, and a transaction data. Since each block contains information about the previous block, they form a chain with each block linking the ones before it. Consequently, blockchain transactions are irreversible in that once they are recorded, the data in any given block cannot be altered retroactively without altering all subsequent blocks. Blockchains may be considered secure by design. Blockchains are typically managed by a peer-to-peer computer network for use as a public distributed ledger. So here is how Investopedia illustrate what a blockchain is. So when a new transaction is entered, the transaction is then transmitted to a network of peer-to-peer computers scattered across the world. Then this network of computers solves equations to confirm the validity of a transaction. Once confirmed to be legitimate, they are clustered together into blocks. Then these blocks are then chained together, creating a long history of all transactions that are permanent. Ultimately, the transaction will be completed. Bitcoin. Bitcoin started when a blockchain was created by an unknown entity using the name Satoshi Nakamoto in 2008 to serve as the public distributed ledger for Bitcoin currency transactions. So up to now, nobody knows who is Satoshi Nakamoto, whether he is one individual or a group of individuals using the name Satoshi Nakamoto. So on January 3, 2009, the first Bitcoin block was mined. Block 0. This is block 0. This is also called the Genesis block. It contains the text, the open quotation, the times 03-January-2009, Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks, close quotations. This is perhaps the proof that the block was mined on or after that date, which is January 3, 2009. The implementation of the blockchain within Bitcoin made it the first digital currency to solve the double spending problem without the need of a trusted authority or central server. So, this double spending means that a Bitcoin the same Bitcoin cannot be used for two or more different spending, because the blockchain is secured by the subsequent and the previous blocks. So what is Bitcoin? According to bitcoin.org, the website, Bitcoin is the first decentralized digital currency. There are digital coins that you can send through the internet. Bitcoins are transferred directly from person to person through the internet without going through a bank or a clearinghouse. This means that fees are much lower because there is no intermediary and because it is not subject to the territorial jurisdictions of countries. It can be used in every country. And your account cannot be frozen by any government regulation. There are no prerequisite or arbitrary limits to Bitcoin. How does Bitcoin work? The same website, bitcoin.org, explains that several currency exchange rates exist where you can buy and sell Bitcoins for dollars, euros, and more. Your Bitcoins are kept in a digital wallet on your computer or mobile device. Sending Bitcoins is as simple as sending an email, and you can purchase anything with Bitcoin. The Bitcoin network is secured by individuals called miners. Miners are rewarded newly generated Bitcoins for verifying transactions. After transactions are verified, they are recorded in a transparent public ledger. The software is completely open source and anyone can review the code. Bitcoins are a great way of businesses to minimize transaction fees, and it doesn't cost anything to start accepting them, and it is easy to set up. Now let us go to the case of El Salvador. El Salvador is a republic in Central America. Its official currency from 1892 to the year 2000 was the colon. But in January 1, 2001, its Legislative Assembly passed the Monetary Integration Act, authorizing the free circulation of the United States dollars and the removal of the colon from circulation. This was said to be done to achieve financial stability by encouraging foreign investments and decreasing transaction costs of international trades, which are often stated in dollars. However, the El Salvador government was unable to control its monetary policy as the dollar was tied to the United States Federal Reserve, an external reference. The dollarization decreased the purchasing power of the population of El Salvador and slowed down its exports because it could not compete against the undervalued currencies of other developing countries. Interestingly, in 2019, the village of El Sonte adopted Bitcoin as payment after the donation of $100,000 US dollars worth of Bitcoin from an anonymous donor. The donation came with a stipulation that the village adopt a circular economy based on Bitcoin. So El Sonte is a village in El Salvador. Many residents in El Sonte did not have access to banking services and access Bitcoin through mobile devices and Bitcoin ATMs in commercial areas. Since then, El Sonte became known as the Bitcoin Beach. In June 2021, the Legislative Assembly of El Salvador voted to adopt the Bitcoin law that would make Bitcoin legal tender in El Salvador, making El Salvador the first state in the world to do so. Now, we have learned in law school that legal tender are banknotes or coins that must be accepted if offered in payment of a debt because the law says it to be so. In the Philippines, we have the new Central Bank Act or Republic Act 7653, wherein it is provided that the legal tender in the Philippines are all the notes and coins issued by our Bangko Sentral. So, as of now, Bitcoin is not legal tender in the Philippines. According to the President of El Salvador, Nayib Bukele, the adoption of Bitcoin would improve their economy by making banking easier for them, and that it would encourage foreign investment. The World Bank rejected a request from El Salvador to assist in the implementation of the Bitcoin law because World Bank is concerned about transparency and the cost of the environmental impact of Bitcoin mining. The government of El Salvador initially gave $30 US dollar value of Bitcoin to all El Salvador citizens who would sign up to use the electronic wallet Chivo, which was run by a private enterprise. Then the government of El Salvador bought $20.9 million US dollars worth of Bitcoin, and it began requiring all businesses to accept it. Under their law, transactions in Bitcoin are not subject to capital gains tax, and foreign Bitcoin investors who invest over 3 Bitcoins in El Salvador are eligible for permanent residence there. So thousands of citizens of El Salvador protested the launch of Chivo, the digital wallet, and the adoption of Bitcoin over the lack of transparency and the use of tax money by the government to buy Bitcoins. Also, the limited internet in El Salvador limit the number of people who could make use of Bitcoin, because you cannot trade with Bitcoin if you are not connected to the internet. Many international experts criticized and warned El Salvador that Bitcoin's volatility would introduce unnecessary risk and instability to that country because of its underdeveloped economy. In July 2021, Moody's Investor Service downgraded the credit rating of El Salvador because of this. However, the international cryptocurrency community was supportive of the Bitcoin law of El Salvador, since they believed that it would lead to a greater acceptance of cryptocurrencies by the states and central banks. In November 2021, the President of El Salvador even announced that the government would make use of sustainable geothermal energy for Bitcoin mining and plan to build a Bitcoin city at the base of Concagua volcano to use the geothermal power of the volcano to power the machines which would conduct the mining of Bitcoin. Also in November 2021, a poll showed that 91% of El Salvadorans preferred to use US dollars over Bitcoin. And in January 2022, it was reported that the switch to Bitcoin had made paying remittances more difficult for some El Salvadorans rather than easier as promised, because the fees associated with Bitcoin transactions were several times as expensive as traditional remittances. Also in January 2022, the IMF urged El Salvador to cease using Bitcoin as legal tender as it poses risk to its financial stability, integrity, and consumer protection. IMF advised El Salvador that the continued use of Bitcoin would make it less likely that IMF would grant El Salvador the previously discussed loan of $1.3 billion US dollars. After a year of the adoption of Bitcoin, the economic surveys revealed that Bitcoin was not widely used in El Salvador due to lack of digital literacy among the citizens. 20% of people who downloaded the Chivo app did not use their $30 worth of sign-in bonus. 61% of the Chivo users stopped using the app after spending their $30 worth of Bitcoins as bonus. And only an estimated 20% of businesses accepted payment in Bitcoin. So it is said that the adoption of Bitcoin as a legal tender in El Salvador was not successful. After the 2021 and 2022 cryptocurrency crash, El Salvador had spent about $150 million worth of Bitcoin, which amounts to 4% of their national reserves. And because of the crash, 50% of the value of that Bitcoin has lowered by 50%. And El Salvador's economic growth has plummeted. Now, what is Bitcoin mining? Mining is the process of validating the information in a blockchain block by generating a cryptographic solution that matches specific criteria. When a correct solution is reached, a reward in the form of Bitcoin and fees for the work done is given to the miners who reach the solution first. Over time, the reward for mining Bitcoin is reduced. This reward continues until there would be 21 million Bitcoin circulating. Once that 21 million number is reached, the Bitcoin reward is expected to stop, and Bitcoin miners will now be rewarded through fees paid for the work done. Validating transaction information and maintaining the integrity of the blockchain is the purpose of Bitcoin mining, while Bitcoin is the reward or the incentive to mine Bitcoin. Bitcoin mining is necessary to maintain the ledger of transaction used upon which Bitcoin is based. Over time, miners have become very sophisticated over the past several years, using complex machinery and grouping to speed up mining operations. The Bitcoin network is made up of thousands of devices that mine 24 hours per day, because the mining reward goes to the first one who will solve the problem, and they are all competing. This competition led miners to create pools to gain an advantage over other miners because they needed more computational power to increase their chances of winning. Electric power runs mining systems 24/7. The process consumes as much electricity as certain countries do. Hence, the cost can be pretty high. These systems also provide a lot of heat while mining. The more devices, the more heat they produce. These rigs need to be cooled, so the air conditioning needed can become very expensive. So the machineries that mine Bitcoin would actually entail the usage of electricity, and as a result, the device will produce heat. That is why most of the large Bitcoin miners are now transferring to cold places like Canada and Greenland, reduce the cost of cooling their machineries.
This is also the reason why the president of El Salvador wanted to mine Bitcoin at a volcano, to use the volcano's geothermal energy to run their machines. This the energy used to power Bitcoin machines and the resultant heat is criticized to be not environment friendly. Thus, Bitcoin mining has generated controversy that is not considered environmentally friendly. I am including this video from Investopedia about Bitcoin mining.
Bitcoin mining is the process of using sophisticated computers to verify the legitimacy of Bitcoin transactions and to enter new Bitcoins into circulation. Most of the nearly 18.5 million Bitcoins in circulation have been created by miners. To earn Bitcoins through mining, miners need to meet two conditions. First, they need to verify 1 megabyte worth of Bitcoin transactions, also known as a block. This is done by using a complex computer system to calculate a mathematical equation and come up with a 64-digit hexadecimal code, or hash. Step 2 is a little trickier. To get paid, a miner has to be the first one to arrive at the right answer, or at least the closest to the answer. This process, also called proof of work, is designed to make users expand effort solving a mathematical quiz in order to deter fraudulent Bitcoin sales. The process uses graphic processing units, or GPUs, and application-specific integrated circuits, or ASICs, to solve extremely complex computational math problems. Bitcoin Protocol says that the number of Bitcoins will be capped at 21 million, but with the mining rate being reduced over time, it's likely the final Bitcoin won't be circulated until the year 2140.
This time, let me report about non-fungible token. A non-fungible token, or NFT, is a unique digital identifier that is recorded on a blockchain and is used to certify ownership and authenticity. It cannot be copied, substituted, or subdivided. The ownership of an NFT is recorded in the blockchain and can be transferred by the owner, allowing NFTs to be sold and traded. NFTs can be created by anybody and require few or no coding skills to create. So NFTs are created through a process called minting. The minting process entails a new block being created, NFT information being validated by a validator, and the block being closed. This minting process often entails incorporating smart contracts that assign ownership and manage the transferability of NFT. NFTs typically contain references to digital files such as artworks, photos, videos, and audio. Because NFTs are uniquely identifiable, they differ from cryptocurrencies which are fungible. An NFT is a data file stored in a blockchain which can be sold and traded. The NFT can be associated with a particular asset, digital or physical, such as an image, art, music, or recording of a sports event. It may confer licensing rights to use the asset for a specified purpose. An NFT, and when applicable, the associated license to use, copy, or display the underlying asset can be traded and sold on digital markets. An NFT solely represents proof of ownership of a blockchain record and does not necessarily imply that the owner possesses intellectual property rights to the digital asset the NFT purports to represent. Someone may sell an NFT that represents their work, but the buyer will not necessarily receive copyright to that work, and the seller may not be prohibited from creating additional NFT copies of the same work. The buyer definitely do not own the copyright to the underlying work unless it is explicitly transferred. Much of the earlier market of NFTs was created and centered around digital art and collectibles, but it has evolved into much more, which now include photography, collections of digital art based on celebrities and sports personalities, trading cards, virtual worlds, domain names, and music. The most apparent benefit of NFTs is market efficiency. Tokenizing a physical asset can streamline sales processes and remove intermediaries. NFTs representing digital or physical artwork on a blockchain can eliminate the need for agents and allow sellers to connect directly with their target audiences. NFTs can also be used to streamline investing. NFTs can represent ownership in businesses, much like stocks. Non-fungible tokens are also very useful in identity security. For example, a personal information stored on an immutable blockchain cannot be accessed, stolen, or used by anyone that doesn't have the keys. Now, in crypto, keys can be private or public. A private key is a long alphanumeric code that acts similarly to a password.
Private keys are used to authorize cryptocurrency transactions. Your private key is generated by your wallet and is used to create your public key using encryption. Now, what is a public key? A public key allows you to receive cryptocurrency transactions. It's a cryptographic code that is paired with a private key. So while anyone can send transactions to the public key, you need the private key to unlock them and prove that you are the owner of the cryptocurrency received in transaction. In May 2022, the Wall Street Journal reported that NFT market was collapsing. The daily sales of NFT tokens had declined 92% from September 2021. And the number of active wallets on the NFT market fell 88% from November 2021. A September 2023 report from cryptocurrency gambling website DapGamble claimed 95% of NFTs had fallen to zero monetary value. I am including this video from Investopedia about non-fungible tokens.
Non-fungible tokens, or NFTs, are cryptographic tokens that live on a blockchain, each with unique identification codes and metadata that cannot be replicated. NFTs are digital representations of physical assets. They're often likened to digital passports, since each token contains a unique, non-transferable identity to distinguish it from other tokens. The distinct construction of each NFT has the potential for several use cases. And much of the current market for NFTs is centered around collectibles, such as digital artwork, sports cards, and rarities. Because NFTs are based on blockchains, they can be bought, sold, and traded more efficiently and without intermediaries. This simplifies transactions, reduces the probability of fraud, and creates new markets. But there is a key difference between crypto and NFTs. Like physical money, cryptocurrencies are fungible, meaning they can be traded or exchanged one for another. For example, one Bitcoin is always equal in value to another Bitcoin. NFTs shift the crypto paradigm by making each token unique and irreplaceable. This makes it impossible for one non-fungible token to be equal to another. Put another way, NFTs are an evolution over the relatively simple concept of cryptocurrencies. Today's modern finance systems consist of sophisticated trading and loan systems for different asset types. By enabling digital representations of physical assets, NFTs are a step forward in the reinvention of this infrastructure.
So that is all for my report. I hope you find it informative. Thank you.